I'd like to introduce you to Kathleen Brookbanks, who currently serves as the Chief Operating Officer of OMD US. She's been in the role for the past 18 months, focusing on the continued evolution of OMD's needs and the structure to meet the new demands of the media marketplace. In addition to this role, Kathleen is a super valued 4A's board member and on our Media Leadership Council. And Kathleen really has a couple of roles, and one is that she'll be giving you the update on the Addressability task force, but she'll also be taking over the program from now on. She'll be the interlocutor for this afternoon. So please welcome Kathleen Brookbanks.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the afternoon session. We have an equally exciting session this afternoon and a lot to cover. So I'm going to get straight into it. We're going to do a lot this afternoon of covering you off on a lot of the work that the task forces from the Media Leadership Council at the 4A's have been doing, and I think we feel really good that we've gotten some substantial work done this year. I happen to be the sponsor that oversees the task force that's been working on the subject of addressability. And we've been working closely together, and I have to say we made a commitment to each other across holding companies as a group that we were going to get something accomplished, something substantial, and we were going to be, in our first year, the leading voice of authority on 2 points. First, data-driven video, and the second is programmatic and DMP technology. I'm going to give you some highlights of the work we've done related to the data-driven video. I'm thrilled to say that our goal was to issue 2 white papers, one on each of these subjects before we got to Austin. We did that. I will admit that the second one was issued yesterday, and the press happened today, but by God, it was going to happen. So we issued the data-driven video white paper. It is up on the 4A's site. I encourage you to go look at it. It is a 12-page, very thorough document that really speaks to the intricacies of what is happening in that space. And also up on the site as of today is the programmatic and DMP technology. These white papers have been written by the leaders at the big holding companies in these spaces. So this is not about a point of view. This is about the facts and being the leading voice of authority. So a little bit on the data-driven white paper, and then programmatic you're going to see in the form of a panel today. That paper covers everything from where we are today with addressable TV, what are the current offerings, how substantial are they? Why does this matter? I mean, you heard this morning, whether it was from Tim or some of the other panels, that while our world is changing into a digital world, the big screen TV still matters. But the evolution of the big screen TV and taking advantage of the technologies that we now have in the digital space is where the opportunity is. We'll talk about the different ways in the white paper that you can actually do addressable TV, whether that's geography or audiences, and audience in addressable TV is not a broad demographic. And this is where it gets exciting, because an audience in addressable TV is a lapsed user versus my heavy user versus a person about to enter the category and you knowing that you can reach them at a very particular moment with a very particular kind of messaging, something we can't do today in mass linear TV. We'll talk about the data and analytics, and then finally the future of what this has to offer. In its simplest form, addressable TV is the ability to send a specific TV commercial to an individual household. Think about that, an individual household. We're not doing a lot of that today, but addressable TV is getting talked about, I think, in a renewed way. It's been around for a while. You don't hear an awful lot about it. We're hearing a lot about programmatic, not a lot about addressable. And it's been out there, and we've been able to do this primarily on a geographic basis for quite some time. The difference now is it's truly becoming scalable. Right now, you can buy addressable TV in 60 million linear TV households alone. That is real scale when we think about what we might be doing in the digital system. You can do it either from an audience base or a geography base, and you can do it what I'll call manually, the way we would buy any other TV. You can also do it in a much more technologically savvy and efficient way, which we call digital platform buying. And I kind of want to distinguish these words carefully from the next point, which is there is also the opportunity to now start to do this programmatically. A lot of people, though, are confusing what we describe in the white paper as this digital platform buying, which is just an efficient way to use a DSP to actually do those buys. That is different than actually doing programmatic, and I'll get a little bit into that. So it's out there. It's been there for a while. Players in the system have been able to do some audience-based, a lot of geography-based, addressable TV for some time, particularly when you look at the Comcast, the Cablevision, the Dish, and DirecTV. They've been out there and they've been doing this. But there are new players, there are new technologies, and there are new forms of measurement. And that's what's making it, I think, getting renewed attention. So in addition to a media organization kind of going traditionally out to a community that creates and pushes content out, right? So that's how we've always negotiated. To go to the people that push the content out. In addressable TV, you're now dealing with a whole different group of players. So you're now actually going to the cable systems to do addressable TV buys. You also have these external connectivity solutions that are out there. So you have the Apple TVs, Roku, all these other ways that we can start to now do addressable. And then lastly, but importantly, over-the-top solutions. So what you can see is it's been around for a long time, but the scale of it is really making it a whole new conversation. The ecosystem that we have to figure out inside media agencies to do this is a whole different ecosystem of players to work with than we've traditionally been used to. Now, the fascinating area, I think you'll see this in depth in the white paper, is around the technology and measurement. For as long as any of us in the room have been in the media business and have participated in the buying of television. And let us not forget the power that television has brought to brand building, right? So, but we've always done it based off of a Nielsen rating on a large demographic group, which has enabled us to have this baseline currency of a CPM that has been a very easy, convenient, consistent way to understand what we were getting and how much we were paying for what we were getting. It never measured effectiveness, engagement, or any of those other things. It never claimed to, but it gave us across the board as an industry a standard. And now what we're seeing as we're looking at addressable TV is some really, really interesting and powerful work that's going on with organizations like Rentrack and I think ComScore's Project Blueprint. If you haven't read anything about this, it's fascinating. They have looked at measurement across 5 devices simultaneously. So really interesting work is going on out there in the measurement of this. And so I think, again, regained kind of look at what is possible with addressable. We also have the actual manufacturers of TVs starting to actually get into the space and figure out how to do measurement. So in 2013, Samsung, LG, and Vizio, and they're actually built into their TV sets an automatic content recognition chip. So you have so many players trying to come at the question of measurement and effectiveness from very, very different angles. A lot of really interesting stuff going on. And then lastly, I said on the first page, let's be careful not to use the word programmatic to every and anything that we can now automate as a buy. That's a really, really important piece. But we can do dynamic ad insertions in addressable, and we have players like Black Arrow, Visible World, and NVIDIA out there also playing in this space. So it's really exciting, but it's also a time of complexity and agencies figuring out how to do this. And I would say that the reason that I think this is so important actually has to do with the first barrier. And I want to be careful here. The barriers that we've identified in the white paper are barriers to further scale, not barriers to whether we see the future, including addressable, because we clearly do. We see it as an important evolution in the big screen TV, which we still see as an important part of our business. But if you think about everything that has been possible in digital, that has drawn us and our clients into that space, it's because of the opportunity to target much more tightly. It is because it's where our consumers are going. And it's because of that one-on-one relationship opportunity, which is different than the one-to-many. If you think about the technologies that have made that so powerful, potentially moving over to the big screen, you start to see great excitement and new potential for redefining what the big screen is for us in the future. There are a couple of barriers, though, and we will, as an industry, get past them. But the first one, quite frankly, I think is the most important one, and it's creative versioning. Addressable TV only makes sense for you to go through what you have to go through if, in fact, the content and the messaging you're putting out to groups really takes advantage of finding those differentiated audiences. So in its simplest form, imagine that you are able to identify heavy users of your brand, and you want to say one thing to them. You're able to identify lapsed users of your brand, and you know what other brand they went to, and you have a switching strategy. What do you want to say to them? Now imagine you're in a category and you know what the bottom is, even in simple age demography for when they enter your category, and you're contemplating them, how to get them not only into the category, but to choose you first. What do you want to say to them? That's where the power of addressable TV comes to play. But we will not get the power of it till we can figure out how we can have, I think Tim said something this morning of creative agencies are going to have to figure out how to have, I don't know if he said hundreds or thousands, it's almost irrelevant. If you're used to producing 10 pieces of content today against a campaign, how do we figure out as an industry how you can have 100 pieces of content because you have this great opportunity to use the big screen in a very individualized way? So I think addressable TV is not controversial. So maybe you're surprised it's up first for the afternoon, but I think it is a really important piece of what's going to evolve in our industry. So please take a look at the white papers. I will say that they are really, really wonderful, wonderful documents.